Okay, today we're going to talk about pitching. And I call this all-star pitching because pitching is something that I've done for years. And my experience with it is just being in rooms and watching people's reactions, engaging people's reactions, and then going, okay, this is what works and this is what doesn't work. And so after hundreds and hundreds of pitches, I started to go, okay, like this is what people want to hear. So, it's not that I'm some natural or something like that. It's truly because of experience and pitching, but also paying attention. I guess theoretically I could have done hundreds of pitches and never changed anything or never paid attention and gone, I wonder why my movies aren't getting made, and not changed my approach. But, always trying to change the approach was a thing, and now it's kind of like a much better flow for me pitching wise. And I have producer friends that are in the industry for years that are just not good at pitching, and never get to the point. I think of somebody that's very close to, and he just goes in circles and doesn't focus. And so I guess the theory behind this video today is to give you a tip that'll help you pitch, right? And it's to make you an all-star pitcher. And I guess thinking about the problems that person has with the pitching is the focus has to be concise and right to the point of what the movie's about. But the way I do that initially is I look for what's called hooks. I teach this online course where people pitch to me, and I will literally take their film, and because I'm listening to their pitch, and I'll pitch it back to them, pretending that it's I'm the filmmaker that's doing their film, and they're like, oh my god, surprising, and I'm like, the reason I can do it so quickly is that I'm looking for these hooks. Now, obviously, when I'm improvising and throwing the pitch back out to them, I have to do something really quickly, and when you're pitching your film, prior to getting in front of that high net worth individual, you should be practicing and kind of refining. But the place to start is the hooks. What's an exciting hook that could get them to focus and pay attention? If I said to you, pollution is the number one problem in the world today, and by 2030, half of the world is going to be covered in plastic. I just made that up right now, but imagine if I said that. But it was some statistic that was true that I'm pitching on a documentary. It's like, wait, what? That's something that they're going to focus on. And that's happened to me with people pitch me documentaries, and I'm like, had no clue that that's a thing. And so that's a good example of a hook. The same could go for a horror movie. If I said to you, zombie movies have consistently been the highest grossing of all horror movies in the history of horror movies. I don't know if that's true, and I don't think that's true, but what I'm getting at is if I had researched that fact and gotten that hook, and now obviously I'm going here and I'm doing some improvisational hooks by creating some information in my head, and I just want to make sure I'm not advising you to do that. I'm saying go do the research and find out. For example, I had done research when I was pitching Love and Dancing that Dirty Dancing was, at that time at least, the biggest title in the history of Lionsgate on home entertainment. Right. And that back then it was VHS and DVD. So it was the biggest title that they had. So in pitching a dance movie, I would start with that hook. Do you know it's the highest grossing title that Lionsgate has ever had on home video? It was Dirty Dancing. Why? Because people love dance movies. Right. So that was a hook. And so that's an example of something. So in pitching your film, you have to think, okay, what's something that would get people to go, oh, okay, that's interesting. If I told you there hasn't been a great laugh out loud comedy made since Airplane, it's just a hook. It's just something to hook them in, right? And now focus onto the pitch. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make this movie, blah, 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 and get right to the end, concise and done. If you feel yourself kind of wandering the weeds, you should be cognizant of that. I think about this producer I'm thinking of that pitches in all different directions, and I go, doesn't he feel like in the midst of it, like I'm just kind of walking in the woods? And so there has to be a cognizance. You have to kind of step outside of your pitch and go, how am I sounding right now? And that maybe you can't hear yourself. So do it, get honest feedback and go, did you follow? Pitch to somebody and say, all right, did you follow what I'm saying? Did you get bored at any time? All right. Did you get excited at any time? And just kind of get that feedback. And don't be afraid to hear somebody say, that is like the worst pitch, And because if you could hear that, then you can change it, versus somebody cheerleading you. Oh man, that's the best thing I ever heard, and giving you phony feedback so that now you're in front of the person where it really counts and they're like, yeah, all right, yeah, maybe, no, not for me. You know what I mean? Like, so that's what you don't want. So ultimately, focus on the hooks. Look at your project and go, what is the hook that I can use to bring these people in and focus their attention on me so that I can get my quick, concise 2-minute pitch out. And when I say quick and concise in 2 minutes, that's all true. And I'll ask people to do that. And I've done that. I've said, give me your 2-minute pitch. And 20 minutes later, they're still pitching. So force yourself to be as concise as possible with that pitch. Hook them, then do a focused pitch. And there you go.